say the prayer, refuge prayer.
Just
In English, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, fear of bias, attachment, and anger. There is ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Edo Guru Rana Mendala Game Adayame.
Someone to still it?
Tinzula.
Get up all here, someone.
Tinzulele, the portal of the Tinzile.
Hello.
Put the camera 이 가장 샤신도 가버렸다. 어디들라 본다 다들이 Less. Yeah. 안되네, less. 야야, 저디 레레도 좀나. 저 좀나 보tal로 이게 레레도다. 안돼, less. 야야. 야야, less. 랩도 신발지나야 주로 있어요. 랩도 신발지나야 주. 무슨 이상지나야 서디 나 캠era맨도 있어요. Tenzin is he's the zoom he is using doesn't have a camera, so he tried to log in into his laptop, so he will be available in a minute. So here you go. Here's Tenzin. Oh, Tenzin.
달려서.
비잖아. 원장이라. 문안에 미쳐 사대 잡아실래. 되네. 미사체게 조금씩 찍거리. 제가 안에 소생에 컨트롤 노래가 나티미도. 빠치미도.
나서야.
그다음 예수수기 이 노래키 대표의 키용이 당에 수수 노래가 지금.
가서
My apologies. I'm in a different location. I didn't realize my friend's home computer has no camera. So now I'm using my own laptop. Sorry about that. Yeah, I actually this one on the
야야, 그렇지. 드네 당아서 딱 가서 선지 신지에 파용대 간에 토모비 파용세대 당아서 간에 같이 진도래 다조대네 선지 신지발라 아니 선지 신기 파용대에 담보 다 야고지 신바이나 아니 소소 선지 신지바들라 아니 지 드롭해야지 다나 신기 다지 나동 가르치 임바이나 소소 레동 가르치 임바이나 레동 디저발라 토마라니 레동 디게 겐선 가린도 데라 파요 가린도 어때나 신기 아주 탭질로바이나요 다 탭들로나 아니 겐선 가린도 고 파요 가린데 담보 안에 탭 코랑기 겐선 때는 고 시비 당에 아주 탭들로고야다 대신등 아주 다 선지 신기 냠네 지바이나요 선지 심 냠네 지라 아니 캠페인 가리도 괜찮은 가리도 시야기 괜찮다 캠페인에 가서 담보 12군이 대안에 상지자는 주고가 되는지 디진생기 다 존직게 레 담보니께서 조대 상지지 심지하고 파용대도 소용이요래.
Okay. So as we have discussed briefly in the past couple weeks about the Bodhisattva or the awakening mind. So here I'd like to remind you again, up until this point, what is the essential, the author, the essential message, what is something that the author is trying to inform, make sure that we understand it, is that the clear understanding about the purpose of this very learning. We are engaged in learning this text. So in other words, we try to understand the essential subject of the matter that is bodhicitta. So what is the purpose? What is good about it? What is the virtues for us to learn and try to understand the bodhicitta? So this is the benefits, the purpose, and the virtue, and so those are the things we needed to know. The reason and the author wants us to understand, the first thing is to understand the purpose, the benefits, and its value of virtue, because it is assumed that by rationally understand what kind of subject we are going to learn, we are learning, and what the benefits, what are the outcomes we can achieve, then we will have joy, we will become inspired, we will have a clear, joyful sense of the reasoning. So then with that joy and the sense of joyful reasoning, then we can keep pursuing, or we can keep doing the same thing. And so therefore, this is quite clear, as a good strategy, because in general, whatever the things we're doing in the mundane, in our mundane existence, for example, you take a project, or you're going to start a new business, whatever, before you do it, even you read a book, right? And so at the beginning, you got to think about what is the benefits of from doing this, right? What I can learn from it? What are the look? Whether this my very energy or time put in will be lucrative, and will be beneficial. And so, is there anything particular I can gain from this? So similarly, we will, yes, that's what we do, right? Generally. Similarly, and here we got to understand before we further approach to everything, we got to understand what is the benefits, what is the purpose, what is the value, and the good virtue for our incredible the outcome that we can gain from this book. That's why among all the chapters, so Shantideva put all his energy and time in the first chapter is try to explain what is the benefits, the purpose, the virtue, and the positive outcome for us to study and then practice the bodhicitta.
다 디가서 가자디기 참때라 다 간에 파용지 송네 파용데 가레 스나와서 다 베기 당내야 아니 다 파용데네 베나 디리디리레스야기 디 베기 당내 다 파용 같이 송게요레 신지스예 넘버 초다가 마살린 달랑네 제베 런제런 타메 버지르나 상저 심지 샤워랬던 송시엔디기 저슬로가 지금 디기 가레스나 member choto jirwasi member choto jirwe pesi atis kiwa kare sina sinjir zi number chota ves ta chao de anego set jireagi sik zi de sanchi gi ane chao se tong la suba de da ne kare sina ngazo sikong wo jit kiwa res sinjir zi number chota ve masang lin de lang ne jewi ke singli ta di nanshingi 가레스나 마수기 리데 딩가베 랑신 임바게 디지기 리치라네 리디기 땅라 가레스나 상지지 센데 요고치 군트바 냐렌 치트바이나 안에 상지지 센데기 소소 타마와 마수노 센데리치 파네 상지테야다 안에 상지기 오파 jut기 오레스타 신저치 야남바 초다베 마상 린달라네 제베크 런치 런탕메 베지르와스 런치 런탕메 베지르와스 용디 소소기 상지지 셈년이 요구지 지토바이나 년린디게 소소게네 폼보당 소소인데 가르스나 상지가 그모파 짓그레스 안에 소소 상지고 짓그레 빼나 안에 신지르게 스 뇽뇽지기 안에 다 상동라 수바 대다 아니 고파 세공고 짓토바나세 오디리게네 고 니와 요리에 상지 셈텔라 렌치런 다음에 버지에나 상지 셈지 샤워를 던 송시 디진 증기와서 상지 센시야디 소소 냠내지는 중국에 송요
Okay, so if you go to your translation and copy, here, let me see where we are. Okay. Okay, so the stanza number 10. Stanza number 10, it says, upon taking this impure form, it transmutes it into the priceless image of the gem of the Jina. So firmly hold to the quicksilver elixir called the spirits of awakening, which must be aptly transmuted. So here, from this point on, and as a continuation of the Shantideva, the effort try to inform us the remarkable benefits of study and understanding and then practice of bodhicitta, the awakening mind. So here he's going to give us not just theoretically and logically and or through the logical argument, but rather he also give us the example, through the metaphors and examples to make our to help us to understand the importance of the benefits or the greater values of the practice of bodhicitta. Like you have heard from the verse 10, stanza 10. So here the example, and he gave a metaphor he used, we call the turn the inferior into superior example or resemble or the metaphor. The metaphor of turn the inferior into superior. But what that means is that like the author point out, if you are the skill, the one who is specialized or very much skillful, have great skill to produce or to find what to create or discover a special technique or tool or some kind of a formula, which is called the quicksilver elixir, quicksilver elixir. So that quicksilver elixir is ancient Indian kind of popular belief or the metaphor. It is believed that if you have whoever have the skill or able to use master this quicksilver elixir or be able to create one, then he or she can take this quicksilver elixir and so put it into any metal or iron. So the very cheap stuff or the metals, the metals such as iron. So as soon as the quicksilver elixir touched that piece of iron, it is believed that can turn the iron into the gold. Then we know that the gold among all the materials or metals, and it is considered very has higher economical value. Can be very something that's very pricey. So therefore, this example of the ancient Indian belief or the metaphors of a quicksilver elixir and can turn the cheap, low quality, inferior stuff such as iron and into the gold and priceless, right, higher price or very valuable gold. Similarly, here in this lifetime, we born here on the earth. So the form of a body we have received, we obtained is a human body. This human body is, from conventional point of view, we know it's far being clean and being good or being has some kind of intrinsically and built qualities. Rather, is dirty, is feeble, and is and disgusting, and is fragile, and is sources of all kinds of problems. Right? That's the reality, the reality of the body, in the form of body we obtained in this lifetime. So it's just like, in a way, it's like it's cheap. It's has no much value. It just can be compared to the resembled to the iron. So iron, that's cheap stuff, right? So similarly, just like this is our condition. However, if we adopt the Bodhisattva, awakening mind, and then study it and understand it, and then practice it. So then what happens is this Bodhisattva, the awakening mind, and it can be and can help us to transform this inferior and very troubling the human body into the bodies of Buddha, the enlightened body, right? So just like how the quicksilver elixir can turn by touching and turn the cheap stuff such as iron into the gold, our practice of bodhicitta, and it's the same fashion that would help us to make our inferior, unclean, and troubling human body from the very kind of inferior and troubled thing, and turn it into the great Buddha's body and enlightened body. So therefore, this is the number one example, and it shows us that why the Bodhicitta, practice Bodhicitta, has such a great or immense benefits. That's all.
다 단다기 디경아서 솔로칸 조야 디게 가르스코스나 다 상주 심시야디 신질그 지능성기 다 주와서의 신질그 지고 배라제기와 다 니버데 로베 땡고 지와 참여리 로벌용서 동나 런지비 로베네 당 자원도 바는 런지 상주선로 담벌 송선 디게서 가르송게와르스나 다 상지지 센디 이진지 노버 담비자기와 이진지 노버다 간디스 페자기와르스나 아주 다지 대본 키보드족이 안에 총바드조안에 장소 침배랑라 이진노 링그 송바이나 안에 대본 키보드 안에 치네 여부지 요이나 고안에 이진지 노버스라디 서델랑와스 린트기와레 다 이진지 노버디스 린트바이나 니케가네 로아기네 딩게데 강게데 시기와레 어이 딩게데 시기와레 대가능성기 로비 템포 지구 참에 레시아기 로비 템포 지구세데 산지리 산지 준다디 산지 준다데라 로비 템포스기와레 로비 템포는 지구 산지 지구기 가레세나 안에가서 로아신증기 칸당 메와당 삼로고 계속가레임바데 자장 친득기와레스 디디더 산지기 참에베 로디기 산지지 넘바든지 진비 이시디기 양스 딱시지용디 로바용스 따나 가레세나 당아서 로신진 디 로베 네당 자월도반 딩알리 자월도바드조라 다 딩알리 투비 타 요나메나데 아니 산지지 셈레스나니 산지가 도스지네 아니용고요레스 산지가 딱시지 타마데라 draw dinga tong chaya ge tab yakshi di ani sanji ji sem je se ne ko lobar yong se tong na ren chi wi draw ne tong chaw ro pa nam ren chi sanji sen lo tamber song se yu ta ren chi sanji ji sem de draw dinga le draw ge tab yakshi de sanji ge su ba re te ga zna pe na yizi no bu chi ta bu chi re se yizi no de tsu ro ba yana azo ne ke gen draw dinga gen draw lam chi ta o wi dinga la so kwa tu set ge da na jing ge sanji ji sem se de ni ba yana 냠네 지어도 때 공부이나 소소기 네케 등에 다 아니 고 강가로 세네 땀치디오데 파토트기오데 디진생기 다 늘라 아니까 상ren탕치와 아니까 상ren탕치 베세데 상지지 센세데 이즈노 나서레스 오토 송겨레
In the stanza 11, the world's sole leaders whose mind are fathomless have well examined its great value. You who are inclined to escape from the status of mundane existence, hold fast to the jewels of the spirits of awakening. Here we are going to see the second metaphor for the examples. And to further enhance our understanding about the great value or the immense benefits of the practice of Bodhisattva, awakening mind. The example here is a wish-fulfilling jewel, or the metaphor. The metaphor, wish-fulfilling jewel, we know that's again from the ancient Indian popular belief, or as something that's in general is true, that if, right, you be able to find it, not necessarily wish-fulfilling jewel, but let's say that there is such a thing, wish-fulfilling jewel, meaning it has immense, great value, very pricey, very expensive. So, but you got it from you got it to travel in order to get such a precious metal or valuable jewels. You have to travel and go to the islands, right, and cross the sea and go to island and pick up. And then what happened is once you pick up and then you brought it back to the mainland and you sold it, right? Such as diamond or pearl, whatever. So that will instantly and make you rich, and or whoever is related to you and your families or whatever, the communities and the people doing this kind of journey and pick up or searching for and collecting the very highly valuable items from the island or deep sea, and who can make themselves rich, right? And then benefits the rest of families and everyone. Similarly, here, so the wish-fulfilling jewel is just a metaphor or example. So here, that is examples of bodhicitta, the awakening mind. And so whoever wish to solve, right, or help oneself and particularly help others to overcome the poverty, the sufferings of the poverty, right, suffered all kinds of sufferings. If he or she or they, right, likely to be able to find a right captain for the head of the ship, right? a person who is very skillful and who know exactly how to travel and how to safely and take those business people or those jewel collectors or those people who are searching for the price, the very precious items from the far away from the island or deep in the ocean. So who if those collectors of the jewels and or seekers of the jewels, if they met such a skillful and kind and wise captain and or the head of the ship, of the person who in charge of the journey, the head of the owner of the ship, then they not only can arrive there and then they can pick up and collect the jewels and they wanted, and then can bring them back to home, and then they can sell it, right? They can get a tremendous benefit from that. So through this example, we know that if we are engaging and dedicate ourselves to the studies of awakening mind and then understand it and then meditate on it, perfect it is a tremendous, precious and priceless, wish fulfilling jewel like the spiritual path. Then we can definitely free ourselves not just temporarily here from poverty and this mundane earthly suffering. We also can attend liberation, and particularly, and we can not only help others to temporarily free them from the sufferings, but it can eventually lead them to the Buddhahood, the eternal and blissful state of nirvana. So, and that's the more important examples, and through that example, that we need to we can understand how what's the benefits and value of this practice. At the same time, one thing that we need to know is that this standard also said that enlightened one such as the Buddha, who examined and who sort of did all the research and investigated throughout the eons and through the long period of time, such as the eons, right? And who did an exam and studied and learned and researched it, and then find out among all the methodologies or technique which can possibly help you to overcome the suffering, among all those techniques, only the one, the Bodhisattva, the awakening mind is the supreme, is the supreme technique, is the best. Because if you meditate on that, understand and study it, understand it, and if you meditate on that and perfect that, then that will help you to free you from the poverty or the sufferings and temporarily here and eternally. Also remove you from the suffering eternally. Similarly, and more importantly, and help all others as well. That's all.
다더니 also 비 선바대 거래스나 기와 생근 치상진도는 지외진의 사벌지와 상처 신지중 상도벌용 지외 비무서 표현지를 송바들이 다 네 거래스나 지외 무서바 폐와 지외 사바메바 상지지 심지년링인 지외의 사바메바다 아니 공den공도 폐하기 비송거대 거래스 비 거래 당자와스나 아니 버선지 상당 상지지 셈세데 버선지 상당 시리즈 거래스나 추상능시 말해지게 비니용도 다 개와스 전근 지상선도는 용디 상지지 센당 만리반 상지지 센지년린지 무슨비 아니 개와도 거래스나 추상능시 시리즈 세상의 거래스나 지위진의 서번지원이 용디 그 탕지라니 코란 예가도 로마다 디림비 아니 콜란 지위지 토 대진하니 Kurang kam to grace. Chart the Kurang Tala Karsana, method on develops what in the Yo Maris, Chisang Seade. That show when done a check in the Jin Sare, go Chisang Seade. Or that day, Sanji Sinji Masumbi, Nyaliji Masumbi Givala, Tindi Jimato Yo Maris. Da Sanji Simji Johnson Tabar Yang Siondi, da Sanji Sim Seade, Sanji Sing Nyaning Sumbi Giva, Sanji Sim Seade, Kari Sena, and a percentage Jumba Nazares. Percentage Jumba de da Garisanazo, Shan Yondi Siguki, percentage Shan Sigdu, that de Hayula Yuar Skinder, the Shanti. The Nigi Shanti, Rumuji Shanti, the Digi, Garisana, and Mi Mambogi, and Kundova Kungiore, Jo Kungiore, Jivity person so Nayana, Zoya Meg, the Nigi, and Jiv person what it is. That Shanti Sincerity, or that percentage Jumbana Singi, driven Jimbe, Mr. Pevangers. Driven the Nayan, Zoya Marilla, and they go on the peg, all the Nigi and Eco Shanti, Tina Singi, Shanti singing yelling the Sumbaina. Anego yonda competent roya mato anego senda yo mare pena was nyanti ta ranjit zu yimba yana kora garsna sanchi singi nyali ti yongi yo mare te meji gala korangi dama bi tawala swotin gun kongi orti dinji kombala tene gari togi orsna korangi tawa zanzi tobazi mato korangi ganga nyomo yi jiba zanzi tobi tawaji tobar mato di panchigi 터칭 날로 쉽게 와 말이야. 때 가르치에서는 그 상지지 생긴 년을 요구 말. 상지지 생긴 선택이 와 말. 뒤진 생겨야 그 상지지 생지 무슨 게 기차서야 돼. 되는 또 친구 요 말이야. 상지지 생긴 순비 기차서야 돼. 오다 퍼센지 준바는 생기. 아니 드리버 메시지 피비 요요 받는 지래 예송이 와.
Verse 12. Just as a plantain tree decays upon losing its fruit, so does every other virtuous one. But the tree of the spirits of awakening perpetually bears fruit, does not decay, and only flourishes. So this is the metaphor number 3. For the third examples, some kind of comparison and examples to compare for comparison. And this comparison example help us to compare in terms of outcome, the result, the fruition. So if we look among the trees, right, who produce the fruits, one of the tree that we know is called a plantain tree, probably like a banana tree. A plantain tree, a form of banana tree, probably. So as a matter of fact, in the plantain tree or form of banana tree, which is, if you look at the stem, right, and or the whole sort of the main structure, the stem itself, which is kind of very watery and sort of liquiding, and has no any substantially sort of substance within it. And so for that reason, it's also kind of grow up somewhere is very watery and area. Anyway, the point is that this plantain tree and produce the fruits such as a form of banana, or banana look like fruits, which are produced. But because by the very nature of this tree, once it produced and give the bear fruits, then they will immediately decay, or in other words, it's fail or die out, and will stop growing and then produce the fresh fruits anymore. It just bears fruits once, right? And of course, it's very limited, right? And however, in contrast, if you again think of the what we call the wish fulfilling tree, right? So wish fulfilling tree is a form of again according to Indian mythology or ancient cultural belief, and so there is a tree, right? And so that tree is called we call it the wish fulfilling tree. So wish fulfilling tree, and what happened is it doesn't matter so how much you pick up the fruits from it, and of how many people appreciate and enjoy the fruits and pick up from it. But the tree, by its very nature, and spontaneously and grow up and growing and produce the bear fruits and constantly. So the fruits itself is never exhausting, and it just keeps growing the new ones. So both of them are tree. One is on here down in the earth, and the plantain tree, which only produce one, and one results and then died out or dry out. But the wish fulfilling tree in the heaven, in the celestial realm, which keep bear the fruits without is never exhausted. So this two tree, by comparison, we know that which one is superior and which one is inferior. So similarly, now we take this tree of plantain tree and to the small the sort of the virtuous action, the spiritual practice, right? Any form of spiritual practice, a virtuous action you dedicated, you carry out, and you committed, right? But those committed, those virtuous action and spiritual practice, if not being what you call the guided or attached to the awakening mind, or is not motivated, right? Being transformed by the bodhicitta, the awakening mind, that whatever the virtuous action, such as generosity, and or the keep the other moral practices, so more good moralities, whatever you practice, right, and then they will bear the fruits, the good outcome, and by the cause of law and by the law of causality. However, so those the virtuous practice, and they are not, they are sort of detached from bodhicitta, and it's not it's not under the guidance or led by the awakening mind. So therefore, once those good action and produce the good is a good positive outcome, the fruits then died out. So never again will be beneficial. So therefore, and we know that and here the author says that among all the actions and just like the tree which produce juice or any form of spiritual practice, only the action which can be compared to can be as great as the wish fulfilling tree is our practice of the bodhicitta, because your dedication, your practice of bodhicitta can be just the way in terms of bear fruits as inexhaustible as the great and as the wish fulfilling tree itself. Right? So that's why they practice bodhicitta, and from the fruition point of view, or if you look from the outcome point of view, and it's the superior, it's the best. Okay, so therefore we are. It is here the teaching. The essence of teaching is that practice the bodhicitta, dedicate to the bodhicitta. Then any form of spiritual practice, virtuous action you're taking, and everything, all the actions in terms of the fruits, and it will be inexhaustible. It will be perpetually and growing, and will produce. So it will not only fulfill your desire and needs of the here and down in the earth, and but it also can help and eventually will lead take you help you to achieve the state of enlightenment. And similarly, and more importantly, which also help others to your practice of the bodhicitta would fulfill others' desire and help others to achieve their goal. Right? So, and again, whatever others wish to, and the best outcome they wish to achieve. So, if you practice bodhicitta, and then the form of fruits you give into them, form of outcome and you want to share with them will be inexhaustible. So this is the kind of the general comparison. But here, let's put in the Buddhist context, the more in the theoretical and Buddhist general practice. Then we can learn a little bit more about the great benefits of bodhicitta. We know that the heroes or Svantika, the Shravaka, the Shravaka and the Sutrantika and Pratyeka Buddha. So those are the two groups of Buddhists, practitioners of Dharma and Buddha Dharma. They are the ones who meditate on the great points, such as the anattama, meaning the selflessness of person. They do practice that. They also practice various Buddha's teaching, and they are very dedicated to those very important Buddhist spiritual path. However, because their practice essentially is a lack of, or in other words, their practice is not started with or connect to based on the awakening mind. So therefore, and upon to successfully realize the anattama or the selflessness of person, and the shunyata, and the other most important Buddhist path, such as like the Eightfold Noble Path and so on and so forth. They understood and then they achieved a great the spiritual outcome. Okay. However, once they achieved the goal, and that's it. This just benefits them, and so they become arhat, and they remain in the state of peace. In terms of help others and common to benefits all sentient beings, there's no much things going on. In fact, from the purification or the abandonment perspective, those prastika or the solitary realizer and hearers, whether they abandoned, right? And So in terms of abandonment, they only abandon the afflictions, the obstructions of afflictive emotions. Okay? So they only achieve that much. And meaning that the abandonment, the fruits that they achieve is the result of freed themselves from the obstructions of afflictive emotion, and they haven't yet to fully realize the obstructions to the admonition word or the all-knowing knowledge or wisdom. So yes, either from the Buddhist path point of view or from the conventional worldly the situation, that's compared to the Arhathood and the Buddhahood, and is the superior and who benefits all sentient beings. The fruits is again is never ever exhausted. So, but those arahats cannot do the same thing like the Buddha did, and just like this the superior tree, such as a wish-fulfilling tree, and continuously bear the fruits, and but the fountain, what you call it, the tree of a plantain, and cannot do the same. Also, is that.
That was that be ngawat. Kare sondi duba khantamza sinaya palatin jiba chambota kalatin yichi donjirwa telawa chanji chimeten seta oto sangore. Te kare sena sanchi simsia de ba shindo susuga duba to chimuji jiba inaya te ne sanchi sing tat kare siagi duba neko to chimbon jumbe duba to chimbon jumbe pe de songyo. Ta duba khantamza sinaya palatin jiba chimbotar semundaso 소속의 두바 전부 시연디께서 안에 두바 무제바스야디 다 두바 처친 그래서나 처명하게 두바다 되는지 안에 파사바 마사바 라중바사바 안에 긴든지 인시바 대전 사바랑 아신지 초성화시기 딘디게 다 두바 처친부 딘디 집어 있나요 안에 상지지 신기 냐는 집어 있나 아니 그 참여비 딘지 두바 침부 또 침부 지바이나요 그 안에 두바데 따트그리 에세게 다 참여비 두바세디 참여하세디 그 참여바세디 진인 용지 질레레 신들라 수수 사자이나 지워스말라베 녀원주여기 리장자레 딘지에 리딘지 임바이나요 상지지 생근년의 요구지 요바이나 어디에는 그 두바 또 침부 따그리 에송가 te pena kandachire siondi pala tenen jipa chembo tar skundaso pena azoji matriti java inaya aniti matritala ni chinkengi bombo de loko chembo pawo yimba o tani ko tapdan shirala kewa tani ji yimba ina ane korangi maji chwa ina kari ina ko langan jipa dan ane ko rawli java la swagi ko ane ko dansote yawariz Tena Jingi, Sanji Singin la Timbaina, or that Dinji Sosugi, Dubato Chimbukazi Jibainaya, or go down to the Chivasman Song and Dragi, Dubat Sachimbutinji Jibainaya, Koranico, down to the Songiore. Galatini Ichi Dunjira, Dela Wajan and Jimatensin, Galatini Ichi Dunjira, Galatena Sondi, Sanji Senatena, Ichi Dunjirazi, Aniko, Kachisala Druniwag, or Dinga de Druniwag. Tela wajan ji meten songdaso wajan songdaso ani ji dingala tane ji thya sanji ji sinji nyale la ne ko kale jo thya doni yoba ani zoba go thamba o dindi ge ne ko kale jo thang ge tuzogi sanji ji singi nyale de karse mata re te ko ne tengo re se teshk jo ko re te son re.
So now we go to talk about the fifth metaphor, or the the stanza 13. Owing to its protection as due to the protection of a powerful man, even after committing horrendous vices, one immediately overcomes the great fears. Why do ignorant beings not seek refuge in it? The metaphor here is a great hero. So someone who is who has the tremendous the courage and so who is engaging and in like a battlefield. Let's say in a situation of a war, right? So those the military, whoever is like the commander, so who is skillful, wise, and also have a tremendous encouragement, tremendous the courage. And under the leadership of such a commander, and whoever goes to the battlefield, and they will become fearless, and they will achieve. They will defeat the enemy. They will achieve the victory. So that's how the worldly situation in general. We know that what's going on. They're going to happen, right? Taking place. Here, so in terms of our practice of bodhicitta, the thing is, so from the beginningless, we have been committed to all kinds of vice, right? Or horrendous, especially we're committed the horrendous vices, the terrible, and even in the literal translation is limitless, the horrendous vice, which its outcome or the negative outcome will be limitless. So that's the literal translation. This horrendous vice, generally speaking, can be considered as 5 of them. Okay? There's 5 the horrible negative karma one could possibly committed. Assuming that whoever have committed this kind of 5 the terrible negative karma, such as like killed father and killed mother, and killed the arhat and destroyed the Buddha's image, and then created an internal and conflicts among the Sangha community, and it caused the Buddha's body bleeding, right? And those 5 horrendous vices, generally speaking, is very, very serious one. Meaning that
it's 3 o'clock.
Such a one who could right after the death will straight ahead go to the hell. There's no intermediate space in between. So he or she or they will, as soon as they die, and then they will go to hell. So, and that tells that how serious and then those 5 horrendous vices are. Here's the point. So even you are someone who committed a strong the most horrendous negative karma, such as the 5 ones that we just mentioned. And if you practice bodhicitta, right? And so in other words, if you go and take the bodhicitta, the awakening of mind, up onto your own mental stream, and let it sink into your mental stream and become the mental, the floating power, a driving power, and or mind is the consciousness, the continuity of your consciousness itself. And then, even if you previously you committed such a great negative karma, and so you can easily purify those negative karma and its dangerous and terrible outcomes, right? So through this example, we can clearly see that practice the bodhicitta in terms of the benefits will free you from save you from born into the 3 low realms, and so even if you did something and it's like as horrible as we can think of, and like one of the 5 or 5, all of them, and so you have the chance and be saved and free yourself from the influence of those negative karma. So therefore, essentially, what is here asking the reader, the audience. So look, this is the benefits, and this is power of the bodhicitta, the practice of bodhicitta, and so how commonly those who, any sensible person, any reasonable person, and who would not adopt the bodhicitta and then commit to the practice of bodhicitta.
That is also be kange being about done it be so is it. Dinner team is to China, Kachich King, you were supposed to be a pioneer bottom about Shangolo on the Ben or some shares on potato. They got a sena do bati and they go Kasame by Pontecares, Sanji singing and meeting you know. Dinner team mission to China, Kachich King, you were supposed to see. Delane, Sanji Sensia de Kevin May down, I don't check you, Kevin May. That Gawanji digits, Kevin May said the Panego, Peonly, also Rawa Consular Sobatan to Kangalopa, Nico, Gajitinilla Sandu is, Gawa de Gioni, or Metiganico, Gajitinilla Sandu is. That Dina Singi, and then Sanji Sensia Ligi, and then go Yanu, which Jiva Yena, and then go that Dupato Chimbo. Ganda Chimba Yanaya, Kachi Dinila, Katsam Maper, Sanchimula Demagoa, Galichimula Demagoa, Sanji Sinjinale, Korangi Toran quality, Dubakariana Korangi, Kavi Minon Singi, Dubakagala Jundugues, then it didn't measure the China, Kachi never sober seas. The Payon Podame Bado, Shango Lotan the Menozan Shesiati, that be Tubati Garisena. Data we Sanji Sinji Payon Mambo Yodi Chatan, Sanji Sinji Payon Mambo Yodi, Sanji Sonde, Don Copin Dogan Lola Garisana, Jesus Shamba Gumbogi, Zona Norzan Lane, Sanji Singa Payon Mambo Son Yodi, Sita, then a dintimacy de China, Gajic Mio Sobers, the Payon Potame Paton, Sango Lotan de Norzan She Sontaso, or the new Sanji Singa Payon Mambote, Jesus Shamba Gumbogi, and Zona Norzan Lane, Dolane. My
apology, and actually, what we just read is metaphor number 4, not 5. Here goes the number 5. So in stanza 14, like the conflagration at the time of the destruction of the universe, it consumes great vices in an instant. The wise Lord Maitreya taught its incalculable benefits to Sudana. Okay. So what is the importance of the point the teachings, and here we need to know in this particular stanza is that generally speaking, Bodhicitta or practice of Bodhicitta literally has the countless number of benefits and or the values, so that it can be, we can go on by comparison and many things from the conventional world, right? But in this case, so we are more closely to make the comparison within the framework of Buddhist teaching itself. And so the metaphor here is, it tells us something that's from a Buddhist cosmology, related to Buddhist cosmology. So according to Buddhist scripture, that this world, our universe, and has this let me check with the Geshe-la. The teaching is that the teaching was going to you the teaching that's all. Yeah. So from the Buddhist cosmological point of view, so any universe in terms of its creation, of cosmogony, and it has its sort of the stages of phase of the creation, and then the phases of maintaining, and finally the phases of the destruction, right? And here the author used the example and which drawn from the ideas of the last phase, or the phase of the destruction and of the universe. So more specifically, the author used the examples as like the conflagration. So that's the inconceivable huge, right, fire, right? And so conflagration is what took in place when the universe reached its dead end. The very last time when the universe is about to completely destroyed, we know the universe, according to Buddhist literature, will be, and will eventually decline, and then to the point it will destroy it completely. So which one will destroy the universe and vanish the universe? And that is the conflagrations. And that conflagration is not in general, but the conflagrations at the time of destruction and of the universe. In Tibetan called DTV, so it means that the fire and occurred in the last the time of the creation of the universe. Okay, so if you have this, keep this in mind, and then imagine so the conflagration, what it can does, can do, and how powerful it is. Now take it as an example, and so think about the your goal, you have this aim, right? You aimed, or your goal is to free yourself from all kinds of the negative karmas, right? And or the vices and any moral decline or anything that's considered as a wrongdoing. Or any action that potentially bears the fruits or going to produce the undesirable fruits. You consider that is something that worries you, and as a spiritual practitioner, and you aimed to purify, free yourself from the influence of Dharma, then you need to adopt a particular methodology, a particular set of the technique, and help you out in this particular case, or in a particular endure, right? So then, what kind of technique would help you to burn out, to purify all the negative karma and alone its imprint, right? And help you free from its influence. That is the Bodhicitta. So here, the Bodhicitta, the power of the burning, everything the Bodhicitta would do, it can be compared to the conflagrations at the time of the destruction of the universe, right? So therefore, if you adopt the Bodhicitta and study Bodhicitta and adopt it, and then you perfect that the Bodhicitta, and then you can, without making much effort, without putting a lot of the eons time or the energies of the eon's time, and you can instantly overcome the influence of the greater vices and its outcome. And so, who knows this, right? And here, this is very the Buddhist conversations in terms of understanding the benefits of Bodhicitta. The conversation is restrained, limited or restrained within the framework of Buddhist concepts or teaching itself. So the question is, who knows this? It is informed by the Lord Maitreya. So Maitreya, the future Buddha, who taught this great benefits, the power, the benefits of Bodhicitta, and then to his the disciple, and they're called Sudana. So, and how we know this? It has been told in the sutra called Don't Go Bendo no Yosaralo. So from where we know this is a Maitreya referring to, and it is from the sutra of the array of the tree. So that's my literally translation. The array of the tree. In that sutra, in the Lord future Buddha Maitreya taught to Sudana.
다가서 DM7디기 안에 상지지 생지 판요다 안에 상지지 생지 판요데 안에 비교군이 간에 셰고 베트 등에서 어디기 당에 상지지 생지 판요데 안에 소소 야고지 안에고 상호당 다때 상지 센데 놀디나 넘버니스 키자데 손으로 다가서 때에 안에고 상지지
이slagan 뭔가 이slagan 최근에 비디기 연주 너도 되는 소원이다. 왜 제일 마음도 다시 맞아 있어요.
베데 단다티와 간에 생지스 넘버 초타 버세그 데키르와 데키르 넘버 초도 지 베테 근데 오늘 로베 템포 지고 참내레 세게 때 아니까 사른 지에 베시지와 어디
definitely.
어디분들이 더 숨바데 개워진 그 지금선도 시아티가스 아니 가스나 산지지 말 퍼센지 정보용 알바 디오네 두바 근데면서 지나요 발라티는 주바 침보 달스야가 디다 주바 침보를 주니 배송디 다지 바우치게네 네 처방한 선지에게 리지 비디자로 단다 뭐버디 디는 딘티미즈 디치는 세게 거의 미디 베자로 거의 미 주바디 디 파요 보도메 바도 생고로 단다메 노상세 세게다 디 파요 몽부지에 롱고 빈도라 송샤 센디 주바용으로 딘디가네 비트고디레 단디 단디에 양천디기 안에 상지지 생기 파용세 파용디 안에 비고니 샤바디 좀네 아니 단다걸 상지지 셈세디 간레 상지지 생기 나세 간디 요레 세게다 아주 단디지와 telangzo 상지지 셈세디 간레지 임바 아니 공아주 상지지 생야네 제당 네니마리라 상지지 셀라네 상로 당당 간레 임바 아주 디게르바데 아니탄 디지마세지 단다 다양 추조 시스템도 다양 고지제야 마도 차장조도 그만도 되네 다즈미세야지 로란도 지야요 지금 이제 요나나 아주 도스까지 네 찬찬나 말해
Let me just quickly point out the great examples or the metaphors as a reminder to help us understand the great benefits of bodhicitta or the practice of bodhicitta. First of all, we know that bodhicitta was resembled or compared to this quicksilver elixir. So we know that the power of quick silver elixir that it can turn the inferior metals such as iron instantly into a very pricey and great valuable things such as gold. So that's what the bodhicitta can do, and it can turn our body, this inferior, feeble, and troubling, and the body into the human body into the bodies of Buddha. And the second, the metaphor is the captain, so who can lead the seekers of or collectors of the jewels and the seekers of the precious stones and precious jewelries and off the shore and in the ocean or in the bottom from the pick up from bottom of the sea. So whoever wanted the businessman and whoever wanted to self instantly rich and to solve the problems of poverty for self and others, and who need to depend upon, rely on the great beings such as like a captain of the who in charge of the ship. So bodhicitta in this case is the captain and who's the one and doing this safe guidance thing and then help the one to achieve their temporary and ultimate goal. So fulfill their wishes. And the third example is a plantain tree. So plantain tree and versus the wish fulfilling tree. The wish fulfilling tree, obviously, in the celestial realm, and whoever wants to get to pick up fruits and enjoy it, and the trees keep growing and never exhausted. So, but any virtuous action, virtuous practice, and so one dedicated, if disconnected or detached and has no bodhicitta and as the base of or as the guidance or the motivation, the force of the motivation, then his or her all virtuous action in terms of the bear fruits will be limited, just like those planting trees only bear fruits one time. So we give the example about the Shravanta, the Shratika, and a solitary realizer, or and Pratyeka Buddha. So they achieved the nirvana, but just for themselves, and and in terms of abandonment, they only abandoned or freed themselves from the obstructions of afflictive motion, and they haven't yet achieved abandoned the abstraction to the knowledge, which means that haven't achieved the omniscience. So then fourth example is the hero, or the bravery and military general. So, and the general who lead the army, very brave and very wise and very skillful. And so if you are the one who wants to enter the battle, and with this kind of guidance or the leadership of such a wise and strong and courageous bravery and general, and then you can defeat the enemy and win the victory. So similarly, and the Bodhisattva here is compared to heroic, the military general. And then if you adopt it and follow it, and then you will defeat all the maras or all the troubling in the enemies of your spiritual. While you are pursuing your spiritual realization. And the fifth is the flagration of the conflagration of at the time of the destruction of the universe. So whoever is committed to any great vice and moral deficiency, and we can, as soon as he or she adopted the Bodhisattva and then dedicated to it, then he or she can free from all negative outcomes. So the sixth is kind of very simple, but more or less is a reference. So we know all these benefits, and at one point is we also can rely on to the Maitreya, and he taught he quotes a reference from the sutra of the area of tree, and while he gives the instructions or explained about the great benefits of the Bodhisattva to his disciple and Sudana. So this is the whole thing I would share today, and so next Sunday we're going to talk about the characteristics of Bodhisattva and the functionalities of Bodhisattva. In other words, we're going to ask the question, what is Bodhisattva, and the classifications of Bodhisattva, and how to pursue in the Bodhisattva, or how to practice the Bodhisattva. So that's all for today, and now we have a little time. If you have questions, I would happy to answer.
the next message on the Facebook ni chuachitu.
Oh yeah, chat them anyway.
Zoom na chitando, chat na chitando only.
Oh yeah, do. Also, question from Facebook. Yes, do we have time for the question? And it sounds like you are saying that ethical action is a positive thing, but it will die out soon. Righteous action is not a best awakening mind. Or what is the most important factor in doing one righteous action, and two, with awakened mind or bodhicitta, how do we perform the righteous action with awakening mind or bodhicitta? Also, Bishla Dadi Nichiki Joadio more. Gone check any Sanchuki Samgi Zema Sembe, Yamlens, the Giwaka Sabina, or the Zota Chishin to be like was for a time Yam from Atan, Tomebadan, Howard or David members in Chigati, he was correct. Even David any member Jelata, but David Mebada did some do. And if Tina that you want the name now, the and dinner the Giva did you music to Saya and the Pandora and a carrying good nas that you are Tamura Chile and it never the which is action. Or a chita the Giva de la Shati some Giva Jimasabana Giva de la and some Masa to US and it never the Shanti some way Yamlen tea. Or the Kades Jarkid is that Jardi and you are the Javato and system with the Mazara Vajin or you are set up a Jatam in
Or is it any Tatire? Tagane was Karsana Givos in the Chisos and Rivich in the Sabanjo and Santi City Johnson Tobayan, Rivich and Bemus appear in Jersey Gane was only. Tagan Sanji Sinji Masimbi Gitsa Segi, Sanji Sinji Sumsia de Sodi Azo, Sanji Sinjila Mevarina, Azo Le Tambo, Azo Tavachi Imbaina, Tasusu Giva Ganichis Jevainaya, Zempechi, Logi Aniko, Kanhon the Tambi Tane, Azo Aniko Givaji Sabaina, Azo Le Tamboala, and this Sanji Singi, Yalin Tamba said in Yalin City, or Tinachkatani Yongore. That Dindichikatani Masumba Yina, Aneko Rando Isitan, Yanakwane, Jean Konagi, Sanlu Tane, Anichi, Tazana Jimbatana Inare, or Tianico, Givaganichi Sabayinaya, Givati, Shiso Soso Yanchi, Contro Shichimusayando, Yan Dindiga Yelachi, no Sentiano, Narsentiano, Dindigi, Mentumbi Sole, Logan, Koshichimus Goni. Korangi Karsana, Gitsa de Pani, Nyomeba Chadris. That's Sanji sent the Zampenchi Logi Ganhundi Yovayina, and it Digi Gitsa de Pan Chisisan Romaris, Sanji Singi, Sumbi Gitsa Yana, Dedan Yamde, Waji. Gitsa Kariji Jiva Yinaya, Soso and Sanji Ganhon Zampen, Ganhon Chibigone, Waji Zayina, Sanji Salam Wajabayina, and the cook give a Chisan Romaris. There was a dollar song the Kadisana, Chi Tubachi, and a Cherang Chi Tubachi Jansu Chimbo was Asawayana. Just the Jansu Chimbo the Makan but Tibertani, Chi Tubati Nidekadesi. Or Dino Singi Susugi, Givakandichi Chiba Yanaya, Tianico, Zampenji, Lodge can go, Kanhoya Huji, Chombayana, and they go Dinigi Gitsade, and they go Joasimasma, Katsachin Royana. So sing down la nego, Bachang or Nidicre, some Majiver to Koran, Chisis Drew Mares, this one you are. The Mother Chedaya give out Jedila and a Panto Tanem to see this one you are married.
Okay. So whoever asked this question, and I'm not 100% sure that I interpreted the question correctly. And so if I failed to interpret it, and forgive me, here what the Geshe-la's answer is. So when we say the other, the virtues, the power of the other's virtuous action, or the outcomes of virtuous action, and that you dedicated, but there's no anything to do with the Bodhicitta. I know we say that compared to planting tree, here we have to put it in the context. We have to understand that. And so Bodhicitta is the mind that is essentially is seeking for the benefits for all, for others, right? So in the case that the beginner, someone who is just enter into the path of this kind of practice teaching, and who haven't yet developed the Bodhicitta, or even haven't heard of it and Bodhicitta, but who is willing to and is dedicated to all kind of virtuous action, and who is very devoted Dharma practitioner. Okay, and he or she, whatever the actions they the virtuous action undertaking, they dedicated, they committed, dedicated. The critical thing is that because a person has no idea or not interested in the practice of Bodhicitta, right? Meaning that he or she and their virtuous action and their virtuous the form of outcome they're seeking for is driven by the self, or the importance of self, the benefits for the individual's needs. So since that person has no mind of awakening, and meaning has no their motivation, their mind has within their mind stream has no any motivation wanted to do something and merely purely for the benefits of all others. So therefore, they are dedicated, they are very devoted, but the form of a result that they are trying to achieve and they try to appreciate later on, and primarily for the sake of their own, the individuals and well-being. So therefore, so cannot be beneficial, and in terms of how to help others, or be a very beneficial and to the countless number of sentient beings. Right? So in that sense, that virtuous action, wherever dedicated, and it's not based on the Bodhicitta, awakening mind, and it will not at the end, at the beginning, and the middle, and the end, will not going to be at the turn into the power and the policy which can benefit infinite the number of sentient beings, and or to address the sufferings of the limitless sentient beings. In that regard, so it's like the planting tree. And then secondly, if you have no Bodhicitta, you committed to virtuous action, and or any good deeds that you committed, you dedicated. But if you're not make the dedication, you're not dedicated the virtuous action, the outcome to benefit all other sentient beings again, and so after you create the virtuous deeds is end, or you completed the tasks of the good deeds, and but because you made a note that you did not dedicate this for others, your dedication was not for the benefits of others. So until you achieve the sort of the ultimate goal, and then meanwhile if you so under the special circumstances, if you got so mad, become so angry, or you developed a very strong rage and or very harmful intention, and then whatever the good deeds you just completed, you committed, and it could be destroyed, and by that strong, harmful anger and destructive emotions. That also tells that it kind of compared to the fruits which are bared by the Bodhicitta, practice Bodhicitta, and compared to those has not, is limited. So yes, so we needed to understand and the comparison be made here from this particular angle, this particular point of view. And then secondly, we also to know that if you practice the Dharma, right? But your Dharma essentially just merely focus on your own individual self, then it's like you take a drop of water, right, and from the ocean, and you hold on to it. So then you cannot really make that drop of water and so in terms of its power and the size, and you can grow it, but rather it's just keep it at its original size. However, if you take a drop of water and put it back into the ocean itself, it never dries out, and it will continue expanding. So similarly, and any spiritual practice that is not based upon or motivated or being driven by the bodhicitta is limitless. So, another important thing is that if you dedicate like the sutra also, in the sutra that has lots of reference, it reminds the practitioner that if you have this developed the bodhicitta, the awakening mind, meaning that it's aspiration that is aimed, focused on, and completed merely for the sake of all others, then what happened is in this lifetime you will imprint and you will develop the spiritual force in your mind, and when you die, you can take that imprint, right, and the seeds or the imprint on which is on your mind, and you can go with you, and then when you reborn, and then that very capacity, or the seeds, and imprint, and will wake up, and then will continue and it's on incomplete the task. So therefore, the benefits of the bodhicitta is immense. But we are not suggesting or not suggesting that non-bodhicitta related virtuous practices are not important or it's meaningless, but they are meaningless only in the comparing. If we compare to make this comparison, then you will see which one is more beneficial and which one has limitless benefits. Others has limitations.
Tanda dilange ne pe chongjo chijakin pena azu meni ki pasola michila jimba tangi na chiki ne ta gomo jag jimba tane o ta soso gi chanya tra dan ji mi chi so gi soso la ne tong ya hu chi yong ya gi chi de o dinji gi chi de ne gomo jag jimba tan ane soso gi mi chi gi 다 소소 고모 메바이나요 고모 치마도 메바이나요 고모 치데 파 짐바탄 아니 소소 냥지 글롱체 잠팽 로고 끈을 한데 고모 치스바이나 니 산다기 통수 도와라 가르쳤으나 고모 자심바데 베지 또치모 임반로 요와 자침보 임반로 딩네 집바 쇼지 당상시야기 통노라 딘디 용기 월때 이나요 뭐 코니기 뭐 자네 니차로지 교인보다 지까지 이월때 그냥 근홍 차벽에 땅에 고무 찌스바데 내 교토 좀 찾기 와. 대 양답에 교 찾기 와. 파쇼기 고무 자신간테기 고 근홍라 아니고 드미에 종기 그런데 양답에 교 찾기 와 말이야. 어다디 이게 점평글로 스마 성첩 데려직던 연구를 해서
Let me try to make the point a bit clear. Let me give you an example. There is a scenario, for instance, that someone who is asking for donation and to help out some difficult situations somewhere else. And there are two individuals happens to occur in that very situation where people asking for a donation. So the person number one who gave the $100, right? But this person, when he donated the $100, in his mind or her mind, thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, and because this is morally good, and people will impress me, and it will make me feel good, so I will develop some kind of potentials, right? And I'm going to appreciate it. So therefore, and that person is made $100 donation. And the second person, next person, and who also occurred in the same situation in that very place, he only have $1. Right? But what happened is that in that person's mind, before he made a donation, he developed a deep compassion and a strong altruism. Right? He made a strong wish and deeply and with a deep concern and a love and a compassion for others. And then he made a prayer that made this $1 and benefits do something and benefits others. And there's no any concern about the outcome for what the outcome would be, and for him particularly, there's no sense of anything that's good for her or for him in the future. No such a consideration, but merely for the sake of others. So these two persons and did the same thing. And however, from a worldly point of view, and most people would press the guy who made $100 donation was wow, it's great, and think that he did a great thing. But others only did $1, and they would think that that's just some kind of normal and good deeds. But if you put this from the comical sort of point of view, when you look in that, is that the person was seeking for this the outcome for himself in the right way, impressed by others, recognized, seeking for some kind of recognition, appreciation, and benefits, and the worldly benefits, and that's it. So he got it and then finished it, right? He's not a care and that much about the others. He only care his own, and primarily his donations motivated, and this was good for me, right? Therefore, I'm doing, right? So therefore, he got what he got it, and that's it. But second person, even $1, and because his mind and his motivation is merely for others, so therefore from ultimate spiritual point of view or karmic point of view, and if we look at from the nature of the virtuous action itself, right? And then we know that the $1, the person who donated the $1, that very deed, the donation itself, considered to be authentic and pure. But the second person, and even though the amount of the money he donated is greater, however, because of his motivation was primarily turning in for his own self outcome and something beneficial for himself. So therefore, the nature of that very action, the virtuous deeds, is not authentic, is not pure. Oh yeah, good that you say. Yes, go ahead.
There seems like there's something very special in all of these, but I think it's in 13 and 14 that really speak to something that some of us, many of us may have. After hearing about the benefits of bodhicitta and how amazing it is and how valuable it is, it's a wish-fulfilling jewel, it's a wish-fulfilling tree. It's like alchemy. We may yes, like me that could never happen to someone like me. That could never happen to someone like me because of my karmic dispositions or the things that I've done in the past. Maybe because of a lack of self-esteem or not believing in ourselves. We may think that those kinds of benefits can never inure to us. And then we read stanza number 13, and then we see that even the people who've committed the most wicked deeds possible, it is possible for them to have the spirit of enlightenment and to reach Buddhahood. Even the most wicked and dreadful committed actions, it's like a hero that can protect us. And that is helpful for us, those of us who doubt our own abilities or because of our own lack of beliefs in ourselves or lack of self-confidence, to know that it's also possible for us. And maybe it's also helpful for us when we interact with others to be patient, because no matter who we're interacting with, no matter the kind of circumstances they're in or the kinds of faults they may exhibit, they too can also exhibit bodhicitta too. And so there's something really special about 13, I think, especially for those of us who might lack self-confidence. Maybe it's true for others, but I don't know if it can be true for me. But I think 13 speaks to that. Yeah.
Okay. 이게 왼쪽에 지화자 말다 거기에 고아단 다운인 거는 대파제 답지라 맞지 이사래. 이거 다 아주 예상 세상부터 파이어 나와 뭐우지가 될지 오늘 젠노 다 박사지 신다 스탠저스 나와다 어디지 뭐지 마서 이거는 접수바디 다시로가 접수 되는 아마 아주디 팔아되니 니스고를 비워야돼. 이 데이터 오이나는데 무슨 그 판도를 내로 이 거랑 다시로가 디가 괜찮다 디가 거기 뉴바스 나무들 너무 많이 비기 고주요 같이 아니 마다위나 something subject chart 도 미자바즈이나 바지 데리오지 오다데 페요 하레와 친구들이나 디리시당 메이치도 말이 말라 용도 말이 이게 디선 범죄 인디 파인지 너무 줘야다 디디 뉴바 돈소바 디시 기야게니 미 메인스 마비 디 메인스 수수의 공정나무도 세마 마부치 소제 아니 냠토이 바다 뉴메이 바다 디시 민진지냥 미신베이나 어디 솔로가 조금 디 고아디 파티다니 디 고아라미 지글레니 사무스타나 어쨌든 이 지도가 되면 내가 조카지와레 디 거기 cherros 나무 조로 디게 뉴바 되니 나랑 축구가 뉴바 때문에 뭐가지 아니 가 조로 디게 뉴바 디게 다 니기 종지랭이 지트베에서 하면 어제니 소화용도 디비가는 해서 this
그때야 호래 땡에네 다 두바 흔도 무슨 시나야 빨라티는 지가 침부터스 갈라티는 이지룬지와 텔라워전은 지침메텐 세운데 다 소소라네고 조대네 양도 로코 양도 지야래 소소가 상로데베 자치를 당네 아니 제 소소 레동 가리치 지와 이나야 텔라코네테 네버트 자카지 토용 그래 아니 맞아 상마 가리스나 지버데 리디 이나야고 상지기 르스야데 맞아 참아질라 요래 대선용보스야데 신지랑신 오사와 저만한 로로스야데 신지랑신을 좀 마시바데 아주 참아지바데 이나요 신징오라 좀하게 주도래 난시가 되게 상지 생기 냠는 지용디 아니 생생의 로디 양시양스 공부지바이나 아니 소소지게 생경오라 지시 좀하데 참슬라 따는 줘야데 아주 참아지바데 원세계 상지도 상주심부터 이나요 토망아수 난신기 뉴모비 라지 제지당 시선의 소소의 상지지 심공발라 때네 아니 소소지게 조어도 뉴모탄제 따는 줘야게 오랑시 딘다지 어때야네 정 살로당당 할려요 호데스 지시랑 시기요세
So first of all, I want to express my strong rejoicement to you, Victor, and because the restaurant, your comments are making me very happy, and I find this what you say is really very encouraging, and so it makes me happy. So I want to say I really rejoice at what you have interpreted and your understanding of the verse 13. And it's well done. It's a wonderful job. Indeed, when you read the verse 13, you will see say, owing to its protection, as due to the protection of the powerful man, even after committing horrendous vices, one immediately overcomes great fears. Why do ignorant beings do not seeking refuge in it? Yeah, if you reflect upon this, the meaning, and you think deeply, you ponder around why, what does it really say, and and you will you will get a sense of the encouragement, and or become brave, and or some kind of mental force that you will become really someone who will become fearless, who will build up a strong self-confidence and become very strong and very positive about one's ability, and who would believe that when there's a chance, there's a possibility, and one can achieve achieve the goal, or and obtain all the benefits of the bodhicitta, the practice of bodhicitta, just like and we have discussed it before, and so we know that essentially we all are same, right? And in the sense that yes, there's no difference between us, and or in the deep sense from a Buddhist sort of a spiritual ontological point of view, put it this way, we are same. Why? Because we all are endured with Tathagata Gaba, okay? Tathagata Gaba or Buddha Gota. Buddha Gota or Tathagata Gaba, Buddha nature, right? We all enjoy it. We all have it. So in that sense, yes, there's no difference between any of us at all. So, and then from this point of view of Buddha Gota or Tathagata Gaba, then you know that you are fundamentally, the nature of your mind is free from any stand, okay? Is completely in the devoid of any flux, in any stands, any troubling qualities at all. So it's pure. It's completely is the perfect, right? And but this state of purity and perfection and is tempered due to the instances, sort of circumstances, and or the influence of the external and the temporary conditions is covered, even though the very basic nature, essence of our mind is never ever affected by any developments or any afflictive motions. But then the functionality of our mind can be affected by the developments and afflictive emotions. So once we dedicate to the bodhicitta, and by relying on the power of the meditation bodhicitta, and so under this courageous and the most powerful and inspiration and the mind of awakening, and then we will get it get to the deepest point of the purification of our mind, and then reach the state where the basic nature of our mind, and whereby, and also we will free and from all the stains, what the temporary, the afflictive emotions and the influence of them. And so, and another thing we can also think about is that just like you point out, and encourage ourselves and the reasoning and ourselves is that the previous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and in the past, all of them essentially or originally just like us here and pretty much defiled and live with under the influence of afflictive emotions. However, that they dedicate themselves and they adopted the Bodhicitta and the awakening mind and dedicated and they perfected their practice. So then they did whatever they become the one who appreciated the benefits of the Bodhicitta, just like the qualities of Bodhicitta or the benefits of Bodhicitta that we have discussed today.
Also, to say that, also, then it's some sort of that's so.
So let's close over today's teaching here. It is almost 4 o'clock.
Uwe Shankansa, Panda Deva, Mali Yongwe, Jare Zawa, Tanze Yatsui, Shabe Sande Pado, Tanjo, Jamba Jada Jimba, Kundu Sambo, Deyan, Dejan, De Da, Kunji, Jaza, Dolo, Jan, Gewa, Dada, Tanje, Damo, Dizan, Shabe, Yawa, Tanje, Owa, Gala, Chodo, Mobadi, Daga, Gibi, Zawan, Daga, Sambo, Jusha, Lada, Owa, Pende, Tamba, Dazanji, Tanze, Jewa, Tamje, Gangan, Sa, Yujen, Yongla, Dejen, Yongwen, Sanje, Tamba, Tada, Yujen, Jawa, Zongawe, Tongjo, Xinyen, Esan, Zabi, Jawe, Abe, Lamsa, Tenyen, Kaji, Zayan, Dawa, Manju. Thank you, Tuchi, huh?
That's all. Thank you for you all. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah.
So see you next time.